I'm quite pleased this came up actually because this should hopefully show you where we are with using iPods in the second classroom. This can apply to primary as well, by the way. It's just because I'm a second teacher. I teach at Brewery Academy, northwest Aberdeen-ish, and I'm part of the Aberdeenshire iPod development group, which is run by H2L2, which used to be the Goal Team. Aberdeenshire Goal Team. So many acronyms. Okay, that's my name. There's my Twitter account. I can explain the reason behind Family Simpson. I was attempting to hide from pupils. Didn't work. Didn't work. But they realised that my social media policy is block all for pupils. They can watch, but they can't communicate.
Ian, can I just beg you up a wee bit for a second? I mean to embarrass you. I'm relatively new to Twitter myself. I don't know how many people here are on Twitter. It's actually Stuart who kind of got me into the idea of it. And I'd really genuinely suggest following Ian because some of the stuff he's got on there is just pretty mind-blowing, to be honest. I didn't get a chance to say it to you personally, but there's some brilliant stuff from him making a grand job. Keep it up. Yeah.
I don't sleep very much. And a lot of it, I'll be honest, is passed on from other educators. So just share the links, pass them on. But very intimate with the iPod Touch, which I showed you last talk I did on Genius Bars. And I'm not sponsored by Apple, but I should be. And I'm very interested in using mobile devices in the classroom. Stuart said earlier about, kind of alluded to the policy of I can't see you.
Yes.
Yeah. As long as it's not used for texting, it's exactly the same policy I employ in my class. But I'm very keen on taking it one step further and getting it into the classes. And actually, I mean, I'm a computer teacher, so I'm lucky enough to be in an ICT lab all the time. And I have a set of 20, maybe 21 working machines at any one time on a smartboard. But you still have the technical problems that Stuart mentioned, upgrades and things like that. And I really want to be more responsible for the kind of service my pupils get. So that was one of the main reasons behind begging to be allowed on the iPod development group. Basically, I did. I followed the SMT until they agreed to send me and not the music teacher, who was going to be going. Why iPods, or why mobile devices in general? Well, I mean, building the curriculum for is all about sort of your planning and your learning and teaching styles, and what skills the pupils should learn and use in classes. So, active learning. The resources that are available should be able to support them and add value to their learning. And I thought, why not have that as an iPod? iPod Touches can do all of that. Let me just exemplify this. You buy a typical iPod out of the Apple Store. I'm not sponsored by Apple, but you get the ability to play music and video. And if you've got an iPod Touch, you've got access to applications and some games and internet if you're on Wi-Fi or email. And these features can be transferred into educational education. What are some of these video lessons? You could have traditional learning aids, such as what the ones that Martin was showing earlier, the video-based, but also a little bit of interactivity, active learning. Game-based learning, which is something else I'm very into. So using games to help enhance people's experience in class and make it more relevant to them. Obviously, the internet access, you can have subject-specific web links on the device, not like you can in Safari or Internet Explorer, but it's like an app icon on your screen, so you can categorise them, you can put them into little folders, and the ability to have direct communication with people who are involved in, the authors of books, using Skype. There's some Skype chats in Aberdeenshire with authors. My daughter's in primary school. I'm subscribed to our Go feed, and I always get, when things are happening in her school. So direct communication is very important. It's not just on iPods, but these are the kind of things that this iPod can offer, this little device can offer. I'll transfer that again. Passive learning. Okay, so your videos and music, people can sort of sit and listen or watch I do that on the train every morning. I take the train to Bruges from Stavanger, and I've got a 2-hour window in which to learn new stuff on iPod. And it's really good. Active learning, actually taking part, choosing, making decisions, changing the way that things look, creating your own new thing, your own new way of representing information. The web links offer opportunities for deeper learning, as do the active learning applications, and there's a relevance link to the wider world that, okay, it's possible with a desktop PC, but it's in their hands, they can take it home with them, and they can use it from subject to subject without having to log in and log out. But like tonight, I went outside to make a phone call, and this was downloading Junior. Forgot, and got as far as the door, but it was still downloading. They can go around the entire school and be updating their Google calendar with their homework, or posting a summary to a blog. Really powerful way of learning, mobile learning. Getting something that is a bad word or a bad phrase in education, because there's too much, but they will do this. They will send text messages to each other, they will find inappropriate information. Will they? Will they just learn? So this is what the project has. It's got every cluster group has got 20 iPod touches, 5 TuneTalk microphones, which are stereo microphones that just plug into the bottom of the iPod Touch. This is an old version with a camera, the 3rd generation ones. The new ones have cameras built in. Unfortunately, they just bought them just at the wrong time, just when they were about to change the model. Unfortunately, but we've got these devices, and there's ways around not having cameras. And this thing called a parasync station is a monster. It's this brick where you can plug in 20 iPod touches, and then a power pack which is about the same size as the station, and then you can synchronize it to one MacBook. So you can have all your iPod touches with all the people content downloaded to one iPod, download one MacBook, and also you can transfer from your MacBook to 20 iPods at the same time.
That's only with Apple machines, though, isn't it? Because
only with Apple machines.
Windows only do a limit of 5.
Yeah. So it's good. They gave us a MacBook as well. Sorry, I didn't do that because it's become like my second.
Third down.
Second most important.
Yeah.
Think about active and passive learning. There's your code of learning. About you'll remember about 30% of what you watched tonight. Obviously, getting them to create their own ways of representing the knowledge is much more important in recall. So I tried to sort of align that to some example iPod apps. There's only 12 there, and some of them are just installed with the application like music and videos. But I'm looking at about 50 each now. And there's a link at the end that tells you, how you can sort of follow what myself and other people who are involved in stuff do. There's a couple of these. So there's your passive kind of applications, so Dropbox and Overdrive, BTAG, which is to do with QR codes, which we're having a conversation about. Safari for internet, videos and music, or obviously videos and podcasts. And then we've got more active, so you creative apps down here. Say mail, quite easy one. You can sort of send yourself emails, little summaries, little reminders, or you can use this thing called Evernote, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Goodreader is a PDF annotator, so you can have your notes in PDF, but you can actually use the iPod Touch facilities to draw on top of the PDFs, and you can change the words, you can highlight them. It's a bit like having a folder in your pocket. With some highlighters built for good measure. Comic Twist, which is a way of just representing knowledge in a visual way, almost like, well, it's comic books basically, and I know that's quite popular in English, taking text and turning it into comic representations of Shakespeare and things like that. Sonic Picks, I'll tell you about in a second on audio reviews. It's all about creating active learning, and obviously if they manage to create them, hopefully they should remember what they were talking about. Here's Comic Twist. I'm embarrassed, but I'm showing you this because this is the notes that I use with my 3rd years. Multimedia computing, black and white text. It's not multimedia, okay? It's single form. And they don't point this out, but every year when I look at it, it just kills me, that I'm using text, and mainly text, to help them revise. So here's a way of representing similar kind of knowledge, okay, summarised, but a little bit more visual impact. Okay, so I've taken a couple of phrases from it. That's one paragraph, that's the second paragraph. Okay. Just to give them a bit of a mental sort of push. Okay, so if they're sitting in their exams, that they can remember back to a bit of the comic, they might be able to describe it a little better, rather than skimming the text. Okay, so Comic Twist just basically allows you to import pictures, add some text boxes and comic style speech bubbles on top of it, and export it as a picture, and you can email it straight to any account, or you can save it to your photo library. Also Evernote. If you haven't got Evernote yet, as an educator, this will save you so much time. It's like your planner, but so much more useful than that. I mean, I don't use my planner anymore, I use Evernote. What I've got there is my daughter's homework is printed too. And that's a very difficult homework. I used it with my higher study, just to see how well they could do.
How long was it again to take?
They took 20 minutes, but they beat it. Yeah. Just. I didn't beat her because I attended the homework as well. You've got to find your way through the maze, you can't see that. But you're finding the best path, and you're trying to get as many circles as possible and avoid all the other objects. And she did it better on the second attempt than I did with 5. But hires just about beat her, but they couldn't explain it. But Evernote, all that does is it lets you create audio, visual, textual notes, if you've got a camera, obviously. But you can also add pictures that you've got from Safari and save them in your photo library. So it's a way of either creating something on the move or in the classroom, and then you synchronise it to a desktop app. You don't have to, you can just use the iPod app if you want. But I've got a desktop app on the MacBook, and that is, I've been using it for 2 months. I've got 701 notes, so 701 files of different things. They're just mini notepads, and you can add stuff to it. You can combine other pictures into existing notes. You can categorise them. So I've got my iPod development, things to read, game-based learning, my blog, all these kind of things. Okay. Evernote is ace and it's free as well. Obviously, if you've got a Mac or Windows PC, you can actually record straight from your webcam or microphone into Evernote, and then synchronize to the cloud. Next time you turn your iPod, download it to that as well. Really clever stuff. Sonic Picks is amazing. Okay. If you get any app at all when you've got iPods, or if you've got a cluster with an iPod development group and they say, what app do you want? Say Sonic Picks, because you take pictures, just still images stored in your photo library, which the pupils obviously find themselves, and then you hit record and you basically create a screencast where you talk over the top of the pictures. So it's a way of representing the knowledge that they're picking up in class using imagery and audio. Okay. It saves it as a video file, uploads straight to YouTube, or sends it straight to an email address. Brilliant. Okay, there's a free version if you want to try it out. I'll put a couple of pictures. That was the free version I tried out. You could have video lessons on your website or sent to their iPod before you even come into class, so you could watch it on the way in, on the bus. Yeah, just. And if you read the notes from the last video, you probably can't hear it, but it's exactly the same notes. But I had a few pictures back. Those notes there, just read out over the top of those pictures from the Comic Twist. Okay, it's a different way of representing knowledge. And then you can talk about how to apply this, you can question them, you can challenge them a bit more, rather than going through the material. They can come to class and brilliant. And this is the last one, that's my submit. I was doing this yesterday. I was sitting trying to think how I'm going to use Audiobook, and I was just browsing. You can't search, you just got to browse, and it just happened there was a football. The radio stations use this to sort of record their interviews, and then they send them back on to the station can pick them up. It's dropped off the ball, but there's a lot there that are going to be reused in websites later on. And my son Nate, thought it was on the phone, so started speaking to it, and then he got so hooked, don't really understand what was going on. I was with the Simpson game, and I couldn't get back from him. Okay? So you can use it to listen or record, and then you send it. You send it basically to its website, audio.fm, and it puts it onto the internet. So there's my stamp for TeachMeet Aberdeen at the very top. But what it also does is it automatically links your Twitter account and sends out a little tweet to the world saying that if you want to listen to that, click here. So it kind of keeps the circle going, and folk can reply to it, and you can have private messages or public presentations. The only thing that's kind of holding audio back is the lack of search just now, but it's brilliant. Okay, it's getting better with every sort of new change. I had an old version when this folk was taken, and then I upgraded it, and it's just 10 times better already. Stephen Fry uses it quite a lot. I don't know if that put you off or not, but he uses it quite a lot to communicate with things. So there's just 4 apps that, I mean, there's like I say, I'm looking at 50 just now. I'm not the only person looking at iPod development, but each person will be looking at individual, how they can use it in their English classroom or in primary classrooms and things. And it's all on the globe on the Aberdeenshire iPod development group if you're in Aberdeenshire. And if you're not in Aberdeenshire and you want to sort of find out about it, you can get access to that. I set up a wiki site with the intention of sharing it with other authorities. So I just copied the information I posted below to the wiki as well. And you get a few extra things as well. Email there if you want to get in touch, or Twitter. I'm probably more likely to be on Twitter. I'll be honest. And that's it. I mean, I could see as I was listening tonight how much I can learn from other folk. Other folk are looking into different apps, and I'm going to go back with development days and sort of work on Juno and all these different things. But if you're interested in working together on this, just get in touch.